full webcam. Hello everyone, Walshy here again, and once again, if you're keeping up my YouTube, you'll notice that I have Puckett helping me out with these first episodes. He's here to join me for episode 1 of Halo History, and we're going to talk about how each of our scenes came to be. By that, I mean where his Ohio scene developed and what players were a part of it. Some of our favorite memories and stories, and same with my scene, how I always land every weekend in Michigan, and we'll get through all this. So, Puckett, thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me, man.
So, let's get started. Who was part of your Halo 1 local scene, for those that don't know you or don't know the Ohio scene?
Okay, so Pickerington, Ohio, part of Columbus, Ohio, was known as the Halo Mecca. Before
I'll agree with that.
Known as the Halo Mecca, it was Ogre City, and before it was Ogre City, it was just a place where we had a decent football team. But I ended up meeting the Ogres, Danny and Tommy Ryan. They were twin brothers, 1 grade below me. We met on the school bus, and later in the scene, we had their older brother Marty, who played as Ogre 3, and then we had Kevin Colvin, a.k.a. Nistic, who was just a scrub who hung around for the first 2 years and then became amazing. Outside of that, there's a few more personalities that came in and out, but really the core guys were myself, Puckett, Ogre 1, Ogre 2, Ogre 3, and Nistic.
Alright. It looks like you lagged out, so I'm just backing out.
Oh,
See if I can join in your new game. But so you had this core group, like you said, Nistic, Ogres, Ogre 3. How often did you guys land? Because I'll tell you my story here in a second, but mine mainly consisted of weekends.
Weekends?
Yeah, mainly I was always just laying on weekends. I never got anything during the school week, really. I never got to, get good games on a Wednesday. Anything like that.
Okay, so our schedule was go to school, go home, play Halo until your parents called you home. Then do the same thing, rinse and repeat until summertime hit, and then it was just everyone basically lived at the Ogre's house for a summer, and there was always a game going on. If you weren't playing LAN, you were playing online. But I think we probably put in 80 hours a week back in the summertime.
Impressive.
Kind of disgusting. But looking back, it was one of the best years of my life. It was the summer after Halo came out.
That's it's interesting you bring that point up, because I truthfully look at those as some of the most memorable or best years of my life as well, because you'll hear time and time again where someone will refer back in the high school football days, I got to spend all this time with my friends, we'd travel, we had a chance to compete for a state title. Those were the days. I remember those days vividly, and I had the same thing with my Halo days. So, what my Halo history consisted of, as far as the local scene, it originally started with playing with some local high school players. One who happened to be a player you might see from time to time. His name is Biggie Blaines.
Biggie!
His actual original nickname came from us at high school was Big Head, because his head was proportionally much bigger than his body. He had literally a big head. Not as far as ego. He's a very humble, great guy. He just had a huge head. Huge freaking head.
He was pretty cocky, too, but he didn't
Well, back in the day, he was not cocky. He just had a huge freaking head.
Okay.
So,
Biggie Blaine.
that's, yeah, and some of my best friends, one of my best friends to this day, his name's Steve Herbert. His name's Junebug, or his gamer tag was Junebug. Just a bunch of old high school players. So that's how my scene originally started, and I just would wreck the local scene. I would just clean up. Even though Biggie was a great player, I still was head and shoulder above him. I was way above him as far as skill goes. And we eventually started finding out there's some great players on the east side of the state. More so in Central East, but a squad known as PS, the Psycho Soldiers.
Ooh.
Which the main group of that was Dragon Spear, Corrosion, and Clockwork. Clockwork, if that name does sound familiar, he happens to be a famous Android developer now. He's developed something called Clockwork Mod. He is like the VP of engineering at Cyanogen Mods. So he's a genius programmer, very successful programmer. So I didn't get to LAN with him nearly as much as I got to LAN with some of these other players because he, I would say about 6 months or a year into starting these LANs, he had moved out to Washington and took a job with Microsoft. But back to the original point is those are some core group of the PS squad. However, not too shortly after, we are introduced to Gangsters United, the GU squad, which consisted of Tupac, his twin brother, 50. We had Slim, aka Dirt McGirt, and Easy, and you could not have a more diverse group of gamers at our weekend LANs. We would always meet over at the PS squad, which was, they lived over at near Michigan State University. And so we just drive over there every weekend. And one thing to know about this place, generally you don't talk about someone's hygiene or whatnot, but this place was filthy. It was what you'd expect at like a frat house or some sort of college house, like people living on their own for the first time. So we're landing at like this disgusting townhouse. It was nice layout and stuff, but by disgusting I mean there's trash everywhere. And this will come into play later because these GU squad, these guys were the biggest trash talkers you've ever met in your entire life. In a funny way. Pac, I can undoubtedly say he's the funniest person I know inside and outside of gaming that I'm good friends with. Funniest person alive. And so there'd always be this great trash talk going on between, you know, sometimes the PS squad, or more so like Pac to his brother or to his own teammates, or to one of these infamous Halo 1 players. His name was Methods. He placed well at multiple free-for-all events. Like he took like top 4 multiple times beyond like, yeah, early on, like against like Strange Purple and all these people. Like he placing higher than me in free-for-alls early on. So one facet of our LANs would be there'd be so much trash talking going at some point, and someone would just kind of burst. Like Corrosion would get fed up, or Methods usually get fed up, and would end up usually like tackling someone else, and like we would never have fists thrown at the LAN, but we'd have what was called trash wrestling, because there's just so much junk on the floor that someone would tackle the other person and a trash wrestling match would go on. And sometimes you just see like McDonald's bags like flying across the room. We'd just usually clear the area, like everyone just stand by and watch the wrestling match go down. And some of those are my favorite memories. Like, you may have your old high school days where you had some state championship you're going for in football. I remember the trash wrestling days at the PS house.
That's amazing. That was well before any of us Ohio kids met you. But I remember the Psycho Soldiers from Ohio. That was kind of the first group that we heard of that was close to us. That was supposed to be really, really good on LAN.
Yeah, I mean, Halo 1 days, some people don't remember this game is not online. I mean, there was Xbox Connect, which was it was a program which would trick your Xbox into thinking you're playing on LAN. And you could play online to that sense, but it was far from the same game. It was extremely delayed. If you were a competent player, you were 99% guaranteed to win the game with host.
Yep.
So it was very hard to gauge someone's skill online with XBC, and you'd really have to go to events to find out who's good and to get any sort of practice or find out who's gonna actually place well. So it'd be such, I guess, differences each tournament. I mean, you'd have a lot of these top players that come out, but there would always be players that come out of the woodwork, or you'd always hear stories about like, these players are very good, this team's great. So yeah, obviously the first players we heard about were the Dream Team when I first started playing, and immediately heard about the Ogres, their very first event that they showed up to. I heard they were unstoppable 2v2. And STK Squad in general.
That you heard at first, huh?
Yeah, because this was my very first tournament was AGP2.
Yep.
Which was in 2002. I believe this is before the Ogres ever attended an event.
Right.
So I only heard about
We were not allowed to go to AGP2. I remember asking if we could go, and it was too far away.
So what was your first event then? It was like
My first
50K?
event was 50K1. Yep,
Okay.
Atlanta, Georgia, held by Anakin, who's now the MLG commissioner,
Okay.
and Dolbex.
Yep, I remember Dolbex. He's now a programmer or web, something along those lines, right?
Yeah, he was working for MLG, and he got a really good job offer, I remember, just about a year or two into tournaments.
Okay.
He went to take that full time. But that was my first event, and I didn't even play. I didn't have a team that was willing to travel, and the Ogres were going to team with 2 guys that they had met online. It
Was that Cyrax and Strange Purple?
That was
or...
Strange Purple and Dom. Dom won there.
Oh, okay.
And Dom was an awesome online player, not so good on LAN.
Well, I heard that he was always hosting on XBC, and this is before...
He had a good host, and that was a big deal back then. If you had a connection stable enough to support more than 2 players, you were a favorite person on
Yeah, that was before everyone had amazing internet connections. I also heard that the Ogres didn't have a full understanding of how XBC worked. By that, I heard that they thought everyone played the same lag. So even though they were experiencing some huge delay on XBC, they just assumed every player was, and that the host wasn't, having this huge advantage.
Yep, we were so amazed by people who were able to kill us on such laggy servers when it first came out. And then it wasn't for a good 6 months that we learned that, when you host, you have a LAN-like connection.
All right. So
I'm getting thumped, Dave. We gotta turn it up.
yeah, I was just gonna say we can't lose our first game during this first episode.
Some BS.
All right, so
I hosted all last night, so this is me playing online for the first time, but it is definitely much better. All right, let's pick it up. So your first tournament was AGP, and that stood for the Associates of Gaming Professionals?
yeah,
Is that right?
I believe Association of Gaming Professionals.
Association, there we go.
And I had no idea what to expect going into the tournament because I had found out about XBC shortly before, and immediately I realized that it was not a true test of like what Halo was, because I had always played LAN and I understood how great it played on LAN. I could use a pistol right about now. Oh, you took the ammo.
Sorry, sir.
No worries.
I did not know you were behind me.
So I didn't really base skill off of XBC when I first saw it, and I waited till I got my first tournament. And I did a great job of actually placing well in the free-for-all. So our team, we lost, or every one of my teammates that was at the event, these are all local high school friends. This is before I started landing with PS, keep in mind. So just so we get our timelines correct. I was playing with my high school teammates, and all the other teammates of mine, they got out first round of the free-for-all. There's close to 300 people, and I ended up taking 5th in the free-for-all. 5th through 8th should be the exact placing, because they didn't actually play out those spots. But and I lost to Shiz, which was a member of the Dream Team. So I felt like I made a good showing in my very first tournament. Got a lot of notes from players, and that's actually where I kind of caught PS's attention and was able to start landing with them. Finally, we were both from Michigan.
Oh no.
Oh no is right. That I was wondering what the oh no stood for.
Yeah, it bounced off your hand. My fault.
No worries. Oh, that must be an empty snipe or something. So yeah, got noticed at the very first event from some top players. Made some waves there.
And the free-for-alls really back then showed you who had the best shot at the time.
Yes, there was really no question as to who was monsters back then. You could tell by free-for-all, because unlike now, you would notice some people just completely dominate, even up to near the last rounds. Like they would get, like 50 kills, and the next place would have 35 or something like that. So, oh my gosh, I just left over shield. I wish I had my timer going.
I don't have a timer either, man. Story time. We're gonna have to replace.
We weren't expecting to play against some good players first round of awesome. Some random matchmaking. This guy red 3. Yep. Oh, that snipe. One shot at snipe. So I just heard the other person go, Xbox record that.
It was against Walshy. Nice nade. Heard up.
Alright, should we just turn it up and win this last before we continue with Halo history? Okay. So,
Back
the
three.
rest of Halo history will have to continue after we win this game.
Pause until we're winning.
Yep. There's a guy at your back window. Nice shot, Puck.
Oh, he just blamed me around the corner.
I got him. Now, if I get this next OS, I'm calling it GG. We're gonna win this.
Spawn middle, look top mid. Nice.
Right next to me. Got him.
Down at camo. I'm
Down at
hurt.
camo. I got OS. They're gonna have camo and rockets.
Right now. He's hurt. Got him.
Red 3, red 3. Got him, red 3.
You get that, Ovi? Alright.
Yes, I got OS. Now, as long as they don't spawn right behind me.
Put back wall on me. I have no idea where they're at.
I don't either.
I assume back wall, though. Yep,
You assume
nades
back
on
wall?
me.
Okay. Back wall high?
I don't know. All the nades were just...
I got one of them. I fell, man. Right next to me, down low. Got him, double.
Spawners where?
No idea.
Not top red. They're back wall, probably.
Yep, back wall level 2, both of them. Both of them. They only need 1 kill. So just back down if you can. Let's get these spawn kills here.
Back to, oh god, back up.
Oh my god, I got 3'd so fast.
You spawned there.
Alright.
Throwing games. Alright, should we just restart this whole story time?
Well,
I'm just
I kind of want to continue with this Halo history. Even though we lose this game, it's tough to commentate as we're playing. But those guys also, I'm going to give them some credit. I mean, I had no idea that we'd match up against anyone. First off, I was expecting 3 versus 3s.
Yeah.
Not that that should make too much of a difference, but wasn't expecting to match up with anyone like anywhere near our skill level. Those guys played well, and yeah, kudos to them. I'm sure we'll see that video on YouTube. We can see it from their viewpoint too at some point. But
so first tournament, you get 5th in the free-for-all. What happened with your team? Because back then the rules were kind of crazy. They didn't have the standard game modes that we play. It was a lot of CTF, I remember. I don't know what AGP ran, but
they ran some like CTF Wizard. They ran some CTF Blood Gulch even in 4 vs 4 tournament. But what happened with my team was I realized that I actually had some good potential to go on a top squad, so I immediately joined PS after that. They had dropped one of their weakest members. Actually, I believe Clockwork had even left. We never got a chance to play a tournament together. So Clockwork ended up leaving, and yeah, the next tournament, that was the first time I got to see the Ogres in action. I played Ogre 2, no, actually, knocked Ogre 2 out of the free-for-all in my 4-man free-for-all. I think I got to play against Ogre 1 in 1 vs 1. Maybe not. Either way, I ended up winning the 1 vs 1 tournament at AGP 3. We took like 3rd/4th, losing to Killer N Squad, and I can't remember what the team name was. What were those Texas boys named?
They were... it's like Jesus Soldiers. No.
There was a squad called Jesus Freaks, but
was it JF? Was it?
Maybe it was Jesus Freaks.
Wags, Killer N,
Acer.
Yeah, Acer. Yep, it was the Jesus Freaks.
Okay.
Man.
Yeah, Killer N and Acer were just such monsters at the game. Yeah, incredible. And actually, I see someone in my chat right now, Biscuit. We used to always land some Halo 1 2 back in the day with some locals around here, because I mainly highlighted my high school squad, but I also had land was like my brother and some of his friends along with that high school squad. It's hard to name every single person we've played with because there's just so many people you land throughout the days. I mean, it's literally impossible to name everyone. Like,
yeah,
you'd have to write a whole essay.
Crew was about 30 people. Anyone who had an Xbox was welcome to come land and play.
Yeah.
We would play 44s or 8s even at times. By the way, I do want to point out Cyanide on the other team is actually Ryan Thompson from MLG. He ran the very first MLG broadcast and now is the current VP of production.
Okay, yeah. Big Halo 1 player as well, like you said.
So we got a friend in the party on the other team.
Yeah, I was wondering how he got under their squad. I just assumed he had joined our party and was going to be with us. I need top OS. All right, nice.
Be good.
OS is up. Oh no! Please get it. Nice work. Now, Biscuit brought up an interesting point. So, someone in my chat said, we thought we were beasts till we played his GV squad. So, I forgot to mention this part about my early Halo career. We created a website called GV Halo, which stood for Granville Halo. And we basically issued a challenge saying, like, any schools out there think they have a squad that can beat us, bring it on. And we, because like I said, back then we didn't have the online play, and word of mouth just sort of traveled that we were really good. So once in a while we'd get a school that'd jump on our forums, challenge us like, nah, we're better. And we'd, we'd talk trash on the forums, we'd invite them out to my house, play some games, and we just wreck everyone that we played, so.
Dave, what was the weirdest place that you played in those early days? Because I remember going and playing against a team called Body Stain, who ran a tattoo shop in kind of the ghetto of Columbus, Ohio.
I'm trying to think. There were... Yeah, because right now you think of like all this fear of like meeting someone online, you hear all these like fear-mongering sometimes in the media, which sometimes has a place. But back then, I realized I just welcomed anyone to my household. Or if someone's like, yeah, come over playing Halo, like, yep, I'm on my way.
Yep.
I never once questioned that I could be going to some creepy dude's basement and maybe never see the light of day again. So I never had... I guess, alright, sometimes it was weird that I would go to like someone's house, and of course I lived at home at the time, but I'm coming into someone's house and they're living with their parents, and like I'm... just like every once in a while, just seeing like a parent come around as like we're yelling call outs or as we're playing like Halo. It's just sort of like weird to me. Like it's not like you're at a friend's house and you see their parent. It's like you're at a complete stranger's house and they're like, what are these kids who you've never met that you invited through some internet forum doing here?
Especially when you were talking trash to them. That's
Yeah.
what I felt the most on. Those old days were so fun because everyone was their hometown hero. You know, everyone was the quarterback. They were the best in their whole city. So when you went to a tournament, people had never played anyone better than them.
Yeah, and so many people got that sort of like wake-up call. They were just like, oh man, no, I'm unstoppable. And then they actually meet a real player, like a real top player, and it's, like I said, wake-up call. They just had no idea what to expect. I don't know if I ever really ended up having that exact wake-up call, per se. I always felt like I was within skill reach of the players. I mean, I was always in awe of how good the Ogres were, especially with snipes, because our group basically didn't despise sniping, but we never sniped because we realized how strong the pistol was.
Yeah.
It was so difficult to get those headshots off. Because one thing I was telling some other recent pros was the scene's way different now for multiple reasons. One, you consider that Xbox controllers have now been out for, what, 14 plus years? Back then, when I was playing Halo 1 for the first time, my first tournament, I was playing with an Xbox controller for 3 months. Or 3 or 6 months. I can't remember exactly how long I was playing before the first tournament, but it was not very long. And you consider nowadays, there's kids that have grown up with an Xbox controller, that have played it with one the majority of their life.
And
So,
the big difference was there was never a controller that had 2 thumbsticks before that.
that had what?
2 thumbsticks.
Oh yeah, so
that
people
was
are getting
the hard
used to
part.
like new moving mechanics, new shooting mechanics. There's different features of the game that were always being discovered. Because like I said, this game innately had some like different glitches built in, like the double melee, which you'll see in episode 2 of Halo Essentials, or the spawn system, which people started to figure out, as you can watch in episode 1 of Halo Essentials. There are just so many different features of the game that we figured out over time and at these tournaments that made such a huge difference.
I remember there was a phase with the Ogres where they were so good with the pistol, they would always kill you in less than 5 shots. You know, 3 shot is the fastest you can kill someone.
Yeah.
But they went through a phase where we would play Chill Out non-stop, and the reason we played that map is they wanted to practice sniping all the time, and the sniper was readily available on chill out. You could get it every 30 seconds really easily by just porting up.
That's interesting, because I always wondered how they got so good at snipe, because it was, pretty sure AGP3 where I saw, like, they displayed the power of the snipe by doing all those close-range snipes, just going around the corners and snipe. Like, I never had even thought of really using snipe on chill out, let alone really using snipe ever, because I was just such a strong pistoler. I found that interesting that even early on they were working on developing their skills and getting better. I got camo guy.
Guys, corner.
One thing that I always started to do, because I started to get known for my Halo 1 prowess, and 1 vs 1 prowess, I mean, where I started to master grenading down power-ups, as far as Wizard especially, where I didn't have, I didn't land, like I said, on a normal basis on weekdays, but what I would start to do, like sometimes an hour a day, I would just start nading down power-ups on Wizard, like as I'm moving and stuff, and some people couldn't even nade down power-ups, period. So to be able to do it while moving and from all these different spots, I think I blew a lot of people's minds at some future events like AGP3 and AGP4.
I never knew it could be done until I watched Walshy play Darkman.
And by that point, I probably had 5 or 6 different spots I could nade it down from, and it was it's pretty crazy.
Dave, we need one.
We need one. All right, let's
brother.
clutch it right here. Nope,
Uh-oh.
49 all. I do not know where I got killed from either.
He was right underneath you. I'm getting shot from behind. Dead.
No!
3 out 2.
So as you guys know, this is our show where we lose game after game and we talk about Halo's history and how we used to be good.
Be washed up.
So I think with a couple games in there, that would be a good. Any closing remarks on first episode of Halo history? Because I'd love to do this with you again, because there are so many. Gosh, you could bring up a single player. I'm sure we could do an episode on someone like Pac or Strange Purple or the Ogres.
Definitely, man. I think we have enough to talk about for years, and we probably will.
All right. So any closing remarks on episode 1 of Halo history?
Closing remarks. Just want to give a shout out to everyone who is watching this from the old school days. Dave and I have been doing this for over 10 years, still working in the esports world. So thank you guys for making us have so much fun back then and being so passionate about the community that has grown to something enormous today.
Yeah, great words. I just wanted to reiterate the point that it's amazing the passion that players like, Puckett and all these early Halo 1 players had when we had no idea where the scene was going. We were putting countless hours into this game with, maybe hopes of winning a $2,000 or maybe $4,000 first place prize, with no expectations of it getting to the level where it was at. I mean, that would always be a dream because we loved the game so much, but we put our heart and souls in this game. We spent hours practicing different small features of the game and just purely love playing the game. Like Puckett says, it's some of the greatest days of our lives. Growing up playing Halo 1, I wouldn't change it for the world. One thing that always stuck out to me when I was playing Halo 1 back in the day was I never remember having a bad day of Halo. And to me, that just shows how much fun I was having with the game. Whereas I can tell you, I've had multiple bad days playing, let's say like Halo 3, 4, or Reach, like where by bad days I mean like I wasn't playing well, having bad performances, or not enjoying myself. And I think Halo 1 was the first game we fell in love with, and
it's the only game I can lose happily.
Yeah, like right there, these last 2 games we've lost, and it's unfortunate. We shouldn't be losing here, but it's yeah, I love the old days, and then I don't think the North. Thank you all for watching Halo History Episode 1. I'd love to do this again with Puckett at some point, because I think we have some great stories we can share and bounce off each other as far as talking about Michigan versus Ohio and different later scenes. And actually, Puckett being one of the members to help me form STK. A lot of people don't know this story. So, we'll talk about that later. Thank you all for tuning in to Episode 1 of Halo History.